Rabbi Ron, we all know how much you know about Pesach, so we have a question for you.
Okay, fire away.
Ma nishtana hayom hazeh? Why is this day different from all other days?
Well, I don't know. You really got me stumped. Tell me, why is this day different from all other days?
Today we are going to tell you a very special story, a true story about one family's exodus and the miracle that brought them to America.
So it sounds to me like you're saying that the Passover story from long ago is really our story.
That's right, Rabbi Ron. The Haggadah tells us we should read the story of our people. Think of it as if we were living it ourselves. So sit back and listen to the most amazing true story ever. Hashem shel hayeled haya Shimik.
Once upon a time, there was a boy named Shimik. He was born in Czechoslovakia in 1926, many years ago.
His mother Esther and his father Shmuel sent Shimik to school. He studied Torah and all his other subjects like our own Y school.
Shimik lamad beveit sefer Yehudi.
Shimik loved school. He loved Torah, and he loved to play with his friends.
הוא אוהב ללמוד תורה ולשחק עם חברים שלו.
One day, when Shimik was 12 years old, he awoke to hear the loud sound of footsteps marching and trucks rumbling.
He looked outside his window and saw scary-looking men with guns everywhere. They looked very mean. They took all the Jewish people in the town, including Shimik and his family.
They forced them to go to a prison called a concentration camp.
When spoke the Lord, bold Moses said, if made all pharaohs understand,
Thus spoke the Lord, bold Moses said, if not, I'll smite your firstborns dead. Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt's land. Tell old Pharaoh, let my people go. Shimik couldn't believe the awful things he saw happen to so many people he knew and loved. המשפחה של שימיק עבדה קשה.
His family and friends had to work so hard. They were being treated like slaves.
Sometimes there was barely anything to eat, and their clothes were dirty and torn.
Sadly, Shimik's parents and 3 brothers did not survive, but Shimik told himself to stay strong.
He said, there are important things for me to do if I ever get out of here.
One day Shimik awoke, and just like years ago, he heard the rumbling of footsteps and trucks.
He was afraid something terrible was going to happen again, but when the door opened, an American soldier said, "Come on, everyone, you are free."
Wow. These people were so brave. They must have been thankful they were finally free.
That-
The Wolverine.
That's right.
Finally, Shimik was a free man. But what would he do with his life now?
He decided to stay in Germany and got a job playing soccer. He loved playing soccer, but he didn't earn very much money.
He started getting into trouble with the police, and one day he got arrested.
While he was in jail, he sat quietly and prayed to God to help him find his way.
Like the song Eliyahu Hanavi, he would pray that Elijah, the prophet, would come and show him the way to real freedom.
The next day, as if answering Shimik's prayers, he woke up and was released from jail.
Shimik was so grateful, he decided he would never do anything that would put him in jail again.
Shimik katav michtav ladora Zelda.
Shimik decided to write to his Aunt Zelda in New York. This could finally be his way to freedom.
Aunt Zelda sent back a letter inviting Shimik to come live with her in America.
You know, this reminds me of our people as they left Egypt Mitzrayim. They were so excited with the possibilities, and also scared of not knowing what might happen. It reminds me of that song, Min HaMeitzar.
When Shimik arrived in America, it was like a new world, Olam Hadash.
Cars were everywhere.
Many people were going this way and that.
It was exciting and new. Aunt Zelda is a very kind woman who loves and cares for Shimik very much.
Her home was safe and warm, but in the inside of his heart, he felt like he had to move on to reach his own promised land.
So Shimik decided to move to California. His first job was working on a farm with chickens and pigs.
He would feed them and take good care of them.
For the first time in years, he felt happy and settled, knowing that God was with him.
All the terrible things that had happened to him were over once and for all.
Good things were in store for him.
My father bought for two zuzim. Chad gadya. Then came the cat and ate the kid. My father bought for two zuzim. Chad gadya.
Then came the dog and bit the cat. They ate the kid. My father bought for two zuzim.
Chad gadya.
Then came the stick and beat the dog that bit the cat that ate the kid. My father bought for two zuzim. Chagaya, Chagaya. Then came the fire and burnt the stick that beat the dog that bit the cat that ate the kid. My father bought for two zuzim. Chagaya, Chagaya. Then came the water and quenched the fire that burned the stick that beat the dog that bit the cat that ate the kid. My father bought for two zuzim. Chagaya, Chagaya. Then came the ox that drank the water, that quenched the fire, that burned the stick, that beat the dog, that bit the cat, that ate the kid. My father bought for two zuzim. Chagaya, Chagaya. Then came the butcher and slew the ox that drank the water, that quenched the fire, that burned the stick, that beat the dog, that bit the cat, that ate the kid. My father bought for two zuzim. Chagaya, Chagaya. Then came the angel of death and killed the butcher that slew the ox, that drank the water, that quenched the fire, that burned the stick, that beat the dog, that bit the cat, that ate the kid. My father bought for two zuzim. Chagaya, Chagaya. Then came the Holy One, blessed be God, and destroyed the angel of death that killed the butcher that slew the ox, that drank the water, that quenched the fire, that burned the stick, that beat the dog, that bit the cat, that ate the kid. My father bought for two zuzim. Chagaya, Chagaya. One year later, Shimik gave himself an American name, Sam. One day in a grocery store, a lovely young lady was standing in front of him in the checkout line. She turned around and Sam couldn't believe how beautiful she was.
Her name was Sue, and Sam could tell right away that she had a heart of gold.
Lev shows love. They fell in love, and a year later, Sam and Sue were married.
Before long, they had a son named David.
When David was old enough to go to school, his parents insisted that he study Torah.
David didn't like to follow rules or listen to anybody.
He liked to go to the beach to hang out with his friends. Later on, he got a job at Camp Al-Anim and was in charge of a Jewish program for young people.
Hey, that's the beautiful camp where we have our school retreats. Everyone learns about being Jewish and has such a great time doing it.
It changed the way he saw his life and decided he wanted to become a rabbi.
When he was older, he got a job working at the Jewish Federation, where they do important things for Jewish people all around the world.
One day, someone told him about a synagogue in Los Angeles that was looking for a rabbi.
He met them and they really liked him, so they gave him a job, and till this very day he is still a rabbi at that same synagogue.
Shimik and Sue were very proud and celebrated with their son.
It was a moment of great happiness for all of them, especially for Shimik.
Also, he knew that Judaism had still survived.
His very own son, David, was doing his part to help Jews everywhere in their own journeys in life. The mystery person is Rabbi David Woznicka.
Very much an honor. I didn't know I was supposed to talk, so I'll be very brief. But first of all, to the third graders, what a beautiful reflection of our school you are. And to David Cates, when he came in, not only to put such a beautiful program together, and all of you who did, but when he came in and started asking me questions, I didn't really know what it was about. But the person who really deserves credit more personally is someone, my father is no longer living. He died 5.5 years ago. And despite the fact that he had some terrible experiences in Dora, Buchenwald, and Bergen-Belsen, he very much loved Judaism. But more than anything, he loved his wife, my mother, who happens to be here this morning. Sit here. So this is a very special moment for us. A little bit uncomfortable because we're not used to such things, but it's very much a tribute not only to my father, but to all of you and to our people, because every one of you has a story. Every one of you could be standing up here with an Exodus story. And mostly we should remember that if it weren't for people who preceded us, who took risks, who were willing to come to the United States, many of you yourselves came under difficult circumstances, how blessed we are and how fortunate we are to have the freedoms we have and to be a part of such a wonderful community as Stephen Wise Temple and its schools. So thank you very, very much.
What an incredible story we heard. What an incredible story to tell. Children, I just want to say that you were tremendous. You just brought us all to cheers and applause with your incredible music and your presentation of Rabbi Woznicka's story. You know, in a few days, we're going to be sitting at our Passover Seder tables. And the entire reason that we observe Passover and celebrate a Seder is because centuries and centuries ago, the rabbi said, B'chol dor vador, chayav adam, lirot et atzmo ilu hu yatsa mitzrayim. In every generation, every person is required to see him or herself as if he or she came out of Egypt. So when we tell the story of the Exodus, like you did so beautifully for us, our tradition reminds us that we all have an Exodus story, that all of our families have moved from one place to another. And what we're supposed to believe and feel when we sit at that Passover Seder is that we didn't do it alone. We did it because of God's Spirit that's in us. We did it because of the spirit of our people. We did it because of the power of Jewish history. And we did it ultimately because we believe in a beautiful future that exists for all of us. So when you all sing Dayenu, with all of your voices, with full voices, with the beautiful music that accompanies it, what you're singing, you're saying, wouldn't it have been enough? Wouldn't it have been enough if we had Torah? Wouldn't it have been enough if we exited Egypt? Wouldn't it have been enough if we had Israel? And the answer is, of course it would have been enough. But we have so much. We have each other. We have our families. We have the Jewish tradition. We have Torah. We have Shabbat. We have our freedom. So yes, any one of those things would have been enough, but because we have all of them, we are overcome with gratitude. So when you sit at your Passover Seder and you tell the story of your people, remember, you're not just giving thanks for your own story, the beautiful stories that you told, the beautiful stories that are outside on the wall of your family's Exodus, but you're giving thanks for Jewish people of all generations who've lived and moved from place to place and experienced freedom so that we could be here to celebrate. Dayenu. It is enough for us.